Coming up on Global Business, China's Ministry of Commerce says international firms are welcome to take advantage of opportunities arising from China's development. In our special series BizFocus, our reporter takes a closer look at the ongoing Canton Fair in the southern city of Guangzhou. And as China becomes the world's second-largest auto exporter, domestic car makers start ramping up their export capabilities. From CGTN headquarters in Beijing, this is Global Business. I'm Jun Jingfeng. First up, China's Ministry of Commerce is urging international companies to expand their investments in the country. It says international firms are welcome to take advantage of opportunities created by China's development. Yang Chengxi has more.
This year has seen many international business leaders come to China and to attend events like the China Development Forum, the Boao Forum for Asia, and the Hainan International Consumer Expo. On Thursday, the spokesperson for China's Ministry of Commerce said that officials have been conducting thorough and regular discussions with visiting foreign business leaders who aspire to enhance their involvement in the Chinese market.
据不完全统计，
According to incomplete statistics, there have been over 300 newly signed foreign investment projects this year, involving key industries such as biomedicine, advanced manufacturing, chemical energy, modern service industry, and so on.
The ministry also organized e-commerce events in April showcasing French and Brazilian products to coincide with the visits of the two countries' presidents to China.
4月14。
From April the 14th to 19th, online retail sales of Brazilian goods in China increased by 92.1% compared to the same period last year.
The ministry says China wants to work with global partners to utilize market opportunities and the country's high-quality development. Yang Chengxi, CGTN, Beijing.
China kept its benchmark lending rate steady for the 8th straight month on Thursday. The People's Bank of China said one-year loan prime rate, or LPR, would remain unchanged at 3.65%, while the 5-year LPR will stay at 4.3%. And it said China's economic recovery has reduced the need for any immediate monetary support. Most new and outstanding loans in China are based on the one-year LPR. The 5-year rate affects the price of mortgages. China last cut lending rates in August to boost the economy. Officials from the People's Bank of China, the central bank, briefed reporters on Thursday about the financial data for the first quarter of the year. They discussed ways to further improve the credit structure and dismissed speculations of possible deflation pressures in China. Take a listen.
金融运行总体平稳。
China's central bank has ramped up efforts to support the real economy, especially toward supporting micro and small businesses in the tech sector. In the first quarter, credit support for 3 key sectors stood out as the credit structure continuously improved. The outstanding balance of loans to manufacturing, infrastructure, and smaller-sized firms grew faster than other sectors.
当前我国物价仍在温和上涨。
We didn't see any fundamentals for deflationary pressures in China. The growth rates of broad money supply, or M2, and aggregate financing in the economy remained high, at 12.7% and 10% respectively. This indicates a healthy and stable credit growth.
Following China's first quarter GDP growth of 4.5%, exceeding expectations and last quarter's performance, global financial firms have raised their 2023 economic growth forecast for the country. JP Morgan raised its estimate for China's full-year growth to 6.4%, up from its earlier target of 6%, citing robust economic recovery in the first quarter. It also sees the recovery momentum continuing in the near term. Swiss financial firm UBS raised its China forecast to 5.7%, citing a stronger than expected recovery driven by the robust rebound in consumption and property. U.S. financial giant Citi adjusted its China growth forecast to 6.1% for this year. It says the Chinese economy is well on track with its post-COVID recovery, led by consumption and services. It also says the underlying momentum could be stronger than the headline number suggests. The Canton Fair is running at full capacity again after 3 years with a record number of exhibitors and display area. But the crowd isn't quite the same this time. To get a better picture, my colleague traveled an hour out of Guangzhou to the city of Shunde, which produces a fifth of China's exports in small household appliances.
If you have a steam iron from a big-name European brand, chances are it was made in this factory. They are an original design manufacturer, or ODM, which works alongside clients to design, develop, manufacture, and sell products.
Europe and America used to be our biggest markets, but their orders have dropped since last year. As an industry, we all feel the pressure from U.S. politics, but there's been a significant increase from Russia since late last year, mainly because they can now pay in RMB. Our ASEAN business has also increased, so we predict a 30 to 40% rise in overall sales this year.
Due to geopolitical tensions, pandemic disruptions, and rising labor costs, many companies, from electronics to apparels, are shifting production to Southeast Asia and the Americas. For small and medium firms, a sophisticated supply chain is key to their survival.
A small steamer like this needs about 10 core components, and they're all sourced within the country. Despite efforts to shift production and supplies to Southeast Asia, when it comes to small household appliances, China still dominates the global supply chain, with 70% of production based here.
We've streamlined our R&D process and can fast-track it to 4 to 5 months to meet Black Friday or Christmas deadlines. We also designed features that will raise product price points and teach our clients how to market them.
Meanwhile, bigger Chinese manufacturers are capturing global market share with cutting-edge technologies. Midea, one of the world's largest producers of air conditioners, also headquartered here in Guangdong, says their automated factories can increase productivity exponentially.
Decades of industrialization and digital upgrade has revolutionized the structure of our export. We're moving towards high-end, smart, and green products. Demand is strong, and our quick response makes us very attractive in such uncertain times. Our improved business environment, customs clearance, and negative list system are all part of our competitiveness.
China's exports surged 14.8% in March, partly thanks to electric vehicle sales and a backlog of orders being fulfilled. China's moving to the higher end of the supply chain, with the Canton Fair showcasing industrial automation for the first time, and it seems the new commodities are getting plenty of traction.
Who exactly does China do business with? The better question might be, who doesn't China do business with? This is the crowd at the 2023 Spring Canton Fair. In a single day, almost 500,000 people visited. At least 60,000 of them were from overseas.
I'm Sandy from CGTN. Nice to meet you. You're a buyer. Where have you come from?
Germany, from Uruguay. I come from Jordan, Russia.
The Canton Fair has been the stomping ground for international traders since the 1950s. Twice a year, cards are exchanged, deals are made, and friendships are built.
I told Helen to put a joint venture in India. I believe in partnership. We've been coming, my father has been coming since 1980. It's a long time. And I've been coming since 2011.
You've been coming to the Canton Fair for 25 years.
Yeah, 25 years.
You've got a lot of catalogs in your suitcase. Yeah. Have you found what you're looking for? Are you aiming for the bigger brands?
Of course. You can find everything. You can find high-end, you can find everything here.
High-end and high-tech seem to be the new attraction. All of this did not exist when I first came here 12 years ago.
When you step into the Canton Fair, the first thing you notice
This was me, fresh out of university, reporting for local news. A decade later, and a few more wrinkles later, I'm back with more questions.
Do you think there will be a big market for this?
Actually, I talked with the guy who sells this. They already have some customer in Japan.
Are you looking for this to potentially buy?
Yes, for the UAE market. For the business people, it's really interesting to fly short distance in a quick time.
Why have you chosen the Chinese brand to work with?
Quality is improved. Every year it's improved. Prices are competitive.
And I think supply chain is moving. People want to hedge their risk, but it's going to be limited. Hopefully all we all start living together, we build bridges, and everyone walks home happy.
Looks very exciting. Lots going on there. Now, durian lovers in China now have another choice. Earlier this year, China announced it was allowing imports of fresh durian from the Philippines, and the first batch has already reached the market. Wu Bing has more.
Durian, one of the most divisive foods in the world. Many people are repelled by its smell, but more are crazed by its custard-like flesh inside. Now, the huge Chinese market is welcoming a third competitor for fresh imported durian.
In January this year, China Customs announced that the durians from the Philippines will be allowed to enter China, and the Philippines became the third country which was allowed to export durians to China after Thailand and Vietnam.
On Thursday, a small ceremony was held in the largest imported fruit market in East China, marking the beginning of official imports of Philippine durian to China by the largest fresh produce company. In fact, the first batch of Philippine durian arrived in Shanghai about 2 weeks ago.
In the past 1 or 2 years, durian imports have ranked first in terms of imported fruits to China. With the economic development of China, Chinese consumers need more high-quality imported fruits to meet the demand for a better life.
China has become the third largest export market for Philippine agricultural products. The imports of Philippine fresh durian come after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. paid a state visit to China in January this year. The two sides have made 4 key areas for deepening cooperation, including agriculture, infrastructure, energy, and people-to-people exchanges.
Yeah, like China, we pay a lot of importance to agriculture, food security, and exporting our tropical fruits to places like China is one big way to improve our agricultural production, give incentives to our farmers, especially our durian farmers. And we think that China market is so huge that we can really benefit.
The ambassador added that the whole batch of Philippine durian imported to China is about 63 metric tons. But this is just the beginning. Wu Bin, CGTN, Shanghai.
You're watching Global Business. Coming up next. As China becomes the world's second largest auto exporter, domestic car makers start ramping up their export capabilities.
.360-degree profiles of industry movers and shakers, tech mavericks, and policymakers. We drill down on their success. We ask how they set strategy and how they navigate in an increasingly competitive market. Real talk, real business. Join the conversation. Biz Talk, only on CGTN.
Chinese car makers are ramping up their efforts to export finished vehicles from China. The country is already the second largest exporter of automobiles in the world. CGTN's Chen Yilin traces reasons for that rapid growth.
Hundreds of cars lining up, bound for overseas markets. This is what a regular day at the Shanghai Southport looks like. In 2022, China's auto export for the first time surpassed over 3 million, making it the second largest auto exporter in the world after Japan. Let's dig deep into the data. In 2012, China's auto export for the first time surpassed 1 million. Then it takes almost 10 years to surpass 2 million in 2021. However, from 2 million to 3 million, it takes merely 1 year. So what's driving such rapid growth? I came to one of the best-selling brands for an answer. BYD, China's leading electric vehicle maker, now has exported its electric passenger vehicles to over 50 countries and regions. And the export star is this latest model, which has topped sales in Israel and Thailand this year.
个元素是自带国际化属性，一个是音乐，一个是运动。
While the design and intelligent functions can be attractive, it is the core technology that helps make the company immune from the hit of challenges like global chip shortage.
We've been in the new energy industry for over 20 years, and we've accumulated and mastered core technologies of the whole industry chain, including batteries, motors, electronic controls, and onboard chips. So we've established our technical pool.
Electric vehicles, or EVs, has become a key factor of the Chinese auto exports. In 2022, its EV shipments reached over 600,000, a 120% increase year-on-year.
Absolute number in that initial growth phase is very much shocking and also very much impressive. Gradually, the local consumers, they are building up their confidence level in the Chinese-made, Chinese brands.
Another phenomenon is that Europe has become a key destination. Data shows among every 10 EV cars, one comes from China.
So I pay a lot of respect to the companies who are willing to already push for a Europe entry by now, because it's a demonstration of their product's competitiveness, that they are able to survive into the most competitive market.
Along with the challenges and opportunities, one thing is for sure: the world's biggest auto market is accelerating its global push. Chen Ling, CGTN, Shanghai.
At the Shanghai Auto Show, our reporter Wang Tianyu caught up with William Li, the founder of Chinese new energy vehicle and EV company NIO. Li shared his insights on competition in the auto market, the future development of NEVs, as well as the financial situation of his company. Do take a look.
Some believe that 2035 will be a basic deadline for fuel vehicles, considering the European Union's ban is stated 2035 and China's current NEV development plan is till that time too. Do you think the market competition between the new and old will be settled before 2035?
Definitely no need to wait until 2035, and I don't even think it's necessary to ban fossil fuel vehicles. In fact, smart electric vehicles are very competitive, because intelligence will promote electrification. Why? Because driving method electric car is the most suitable type to be made intelligent, whether in terms of autonomous driving, smart seats, or the vehicle's intelligent control, the electrification and making them intelligent. All of these things make the most suitable technological combinations. So I think all cars in the future will be smart electric vehicles. Last year, China's market penetration rate of new energy vehicles exceeded 25% for the first time, 3 years earlier than the target in the national plan. In my prediction, by 2030, 90% new cars will be smart electric vehicles. No need to wait until 2035.
What do you make of the price wars in the NEV market in the first quarter?
I think basically this wave of price cuts has passed, and maybe NEV makers would compete on value next. The price may not be a decisive factor for consumers, but it may be more about the value you can offer, which is your products and services, whether they can bring great value returns and experience to your customers. So I think the NEV market will enter a new stage of value competition.
You have said earlier that if the price of raw materials falls at an expected rate, NIO will be able to achieve a break-even point in the fourth quarter of 2023. Do you still maintain that target?
Well, I would say the drop in raw material prices have been good, and it has basically met our expectations. Some in the market even believe that there will be continued price drops. At present, besides some of our new innovative businesses, new brands and new markets, we still believe that our core business in the core market, which is the new brand in China, can achieve a break-even point in the fourth quarter of this year. This is our business goal.
China's foreign ministry said recently that the country's strong financial tie with African countries does not mean pushing them into a so-called debt trap. Instead, it is helping developing countries to ease their debt burden. The military comments came after some U.S. and World Bank officials called China an obstacle in African debt relief. Take a listen.
China is not the source of the debt trap of African countries, but a partner in helping them and other developing countries get out poverty trap. we urge the U.S. side to earnestly shoulder its responsibilities and make greater efforts to promote the substantive participation of multilateral financial institutions and commercial creditors in addressing Africa's debt issue.
China has continued to steadily increase the scale of its international development cooperation, giving higher priority to countries in need. Over the past decade, China has assisted more than 160 countries. The International Monetary Fund said last year that Beijing's foreign assistance had a positive impact on several economic and social outcomes in the recipient countries. For more discussion on the significance of China's foreign aid for the economic development of developing countries, we're joined by Chen Jiahe, Chief Investment Officer of Northern RK Technologies. Jiahe, thanks for joining us. Why is it absurd to term China's investment in developing countries as a debt trap?
Good evening, Jingfeng. Well, for any country that is expanding with its economy and who is engaging actively in the global trade, we will have investment in and out of their country. There is nothing to be blamed about. It's just a normal business activity. I mean, currently, China is having around the world's 18% of GDP, and the trade of China is so active in the global economy. And this trade helped both the economies of China and its trading partners. So with these business activities going on, there will surely be some Chinese investment, and investment shall be repaid. It's not a trap. It's when you invest your money out, you expect the investment to be repaid.
Right. And it has been reported that private investors from Western nations charge African countries interest rates that are double that of China. So who is really exploiting the developing countries?
Well, I think the high interest rates that is charged by some lenders who lent out dollar or euro these years is actually coming from the inflation. If we compare the inflation in the Eurozone, North America and China at this very moment, we can see that the inflation rate is much higher outside of China. So with high inflation rate, there will be higher interest rate from the central banks, like what the ECB and the Fed has been doing. And with high interest rate from the central bank, there will be higher lending rate. And well, yes, no one likes higher interest rate. But if in the future, when this inflation comes backward and interest rate starts to fall, we can possibly expect a lower interest rate at some other day.
Makes sense. What role have the aggressive rate hikes in the U.S. in the past year and a half played in a debt crisis in some developing countries? Jiahe.
That's a very good question. I mean, that is right. The rate hikes that we have seen in recent years has pushed up the interest rate and caused the debt crisis almost everywhere. I mean, in developing economies, for example, as you mentioned. And remember the Silicon Valley Bank as well, who invested too much into the long-term bond at a low yield. And with the rising of interest rate and the yield, the bond prices fell, and SVB suffered significantly and finally went bankrupt. And that's a U.S. bank, So there is an old saying, every time when the Fed raises the interest rate, there will be crisis somewhere. I just don't know the location of the crisis. I mean, look at the Swiss bank. It was operating in Switzerland, and Switzerland is not a developing economy. It's very developed, but there still comes problems after the rate hikes. So you can see the outcome of an interest rate hike followed by high inflation. You just see consequences almost everywhere.
Thank you so much for insights, Chen Jiahe, for us. Now, moving to some other headlines that we're tracking at this hour. Germany's producing inflation slowed for the 6th straight month to a 22-month low of 7.5% in March. On a monthly base, producer prices fell 2.6%. That represents a 6th straight month of decline and the biggest fall in 4 months. U.S. electric car maker Tesla reported a drop in first quarter earnings. Profits came in at $2.5 billion, down 24% from a year ago. Yet revenues totaled $23.3 billion, which were up 24%. That came as the company's price cuts boosted demand but hit profit margins. Chinese battery car maker CATL reported revenue equivalent to nearly $130 billion for the first quarter, a jump of nearly 80% year-on-year. Meanwhile, its profit came in at nearly $1.4 billion. That's nearly a 560% growth from a year ago. With those numbers, we wrap up this edition of Global Business on CGTN. I'm Jun Jifeng. Thanks for watching. CGTN continues with more news and views. Stay with us.